Hey everybody, this is Billy at Bakersfield Taff, and today we're out here at Buena Vista. We're going to be doing some fishing with Steve Merlo. You can catch him. He's the sportsman editor at Bakersfield Taff, and specifically, I think we're going for a certain kind of fish today, right, Steve? I mean, when you say we're going for
channel catfish.
Channel catfish, and you actually said something I thought was pretty interesting. You say there's kind of an overpopulation of some of the catfish right now?
Absolutely. In this lake, there's so many catfish that it's almost a shame that they can't net them out and put them somewhere else. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
It's called a bobber stop.
Okay.
And you put on a bead to protect the bobber stop from constantly banging against this sliding bobber.
Yep.
Then you put a split shot on. This is a number 3 split shot.
Okay.
Then you put a number 2.
It's a pretty good size hook.
Number 2 is pretty good size, and I make sure that it's sharp. In this case, it's just so it's sharp enough.
Okay.
And what we're going to do, we're going to create what's known as a BV cocktail.
Okay.
Buena Vista cocktail. And you start off by taking half a night crawler, and you're going to put it, you're going to slide it all the way up the hook, and then up the line like that. Then you're going to take a piece of this fresh shrimp.
Now you got this at Albertsons, right?
Just go into Albertsons, $5.99 a pound. You don't need very much.
And you said there's a big difference between packaged and fresh.
Yes. And then just slide your, you don't need too big a piece of bait, but you just slide your little piece of, slide your hook through your little piece of fresh shrimp, okay? Then we're going to take and, oops, I dropped it. Then we're going to slide the night crawler back down over the hook, okay? And then we're ready to start fishing.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, who invented this? Who invented this?
Did.
You invented this.
I did back in 1976 or 77.
And you've had good luck with it.
Fish
that
never
are
fails.
popular to fish out here. I mean, what are we looking? What kind of fish are we talking about out here?
You have channel catfish. You have bass, crappie, bluegill. In the other lake, you have trout during the trout program and catfish during their catfish programs. But they keep planning, but they really don't need to. There's so many millions of catfish in both these lakes that they've actually stunted. In other words, catfish are small right now.
Okay.
You'll find occasional big ones in here. The other fish that I like to fish for out here that's real popular is called a blue catfish, and they grow to stupid weights. One guy caught a 78-pounder.
Okay, so I've heard about that. I've heard like there's monster catfish in here, so that's what those are?
That's what those are, the blues. And my wife caught a 55.1-pound blue out here one afternoon a couple years ago that took her 2.5 hours to bring in on 6-pound line.
Wow.
But they're here, and they're in this lake, but the areas that they like to live in during the summer months are hard to get to because they're in the channel, and guess where all the skiers are? In the channel.
Yeah.
Okay? Now see, we've been there about 10 seconds, nothing's bit it, just reel it in again, and we'll put it out again.
The aqueduct feeds into this, right? A little bit?
It does.
So,
and so does the Kern River during high water years.
So it actually gets a constant influx from fish? I mean, is that wrong to say that? Or?
Well, if they're running the aqueduct, yes, but it all depends how many fish are in the aqueduct.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but is that where like the striped bass come in? And
that's how the stripers got started in here.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can see that little bobber bobbing out there, and what I'm doing is I'll keep varying the depth until I get a strike almost every cast. We're out here a little bit early. It's only 12 o'clock. But
now this goes kind of against what most time what people think, right? Getting up super early. We're out here at, what time is it, 11, 12?
Right now it's 12 o'clock. There's so many fish in this lake, it really doesn't matter what time you show up. There's just so many of them.
So they're fighting for food.
They're fighting for food, and they're not. Most of the fish that you catch are really small because they've got to the point there's not enough feed in the lake to support their numbers.
Okay.
What we really need to do is get a lot of people out here to catch those little ones and take them out of here, take them home. In fact, they call them fiddlers, and fiddlers in the seafood stores are $7, $8, $9 a pound.
Yeah.
And these channel cats out here are very, very, very good eating.
All right.
All we do is we soak them in milk to get rid of some of the fat content in them, and then we fry them up, and they're awfully good.
All right. So you counted 5. Oh, it looks like we got something.
Counted to 5 as I reel in my slack and set the hook.
There we go. Just like you thought. And this what species of catfish is this?
This is called
Be
a
careful.
channel
Yeah.
catfish. Let me get a hold of it properly without hurting myself. See, the channel cat has spots on it.
Okay.
Okay, if this was a blue, he'd be gray on top, white on the bottom, and he'd have a purple stripe right down the side, a real iridescent pink or purple stripe.
Right.
They're a little bit different fish. All right, now I want you to just put the rod about right here. Now, even lower, just right like that. Keep reeling. Let it fight the rod tip.
Okay, looks like we got another one here.
Don't jerk it or lift it. You just crank. Okay, just lift it up.
Lift it up.
And then you no, not that far. You want to leave him down a little bit so that I can handle it.
Okay.
That was a little bit too small to keep. We're looking for those nice 2, 3, 4.
Do we get the? Are we gonna throw it back in?
Yep.
Do they survive if they're like still bleeding?
This one will.
These things, catfish are pretty durable, right?
Yeah, they're pretty hard to kill. Tomorrow morning he'll probably still be alive.
Yeah.
Goodbye, catfish.
It's kind of you weren't joking. They're all kind of like that size, right? That like.
Yeah, you just have to fight through a bunch of them to get a really good quality keeper, which might be 3, 4, 5 pounds.
Like that. That's what
Right.
But we caught a couple of those the other day. But it's
One of the
tough.
things that you keep shortening up the depth on this thing, and I mean that's
Right.
like right. I mean that's like right there,
We're
right?
that deep. Yep.
Wow. And they're kind of hitting it. I mean, you just threw one in there, and they hit it almost as fast as it hit the water.
That's right. That's not unusual here. Sometimes the bait hits, the weight hits, the bobber hits. It just keeps right on going like that one did.
Right.
And
And are they all at the same depths, though? I guess. I mean, is that?
the majority of them will be holding at that same depth.
And is it temperature that, like, change?
Yeah,
I mean,
stratification in the water, how much oxygen's in the water, where the bait fish are. Most of these fish right now are feeding on fry from either bass or crappie or carp. Fry that's swimming around the water up there shallow. So,
one thing about this lake, Steve, is of course the water's brownish green, and it has a dirty look to it. Like what about like what's causing? I would imagine it's a shallow lake. Is that what's going on? Why it's dirty? Like
shallow, and the amount of skiers and boat traffic murkies it up.
okay,
And in the wintertime, it's very clear, clear up until April.
yeah,
It stays pretty clear.
right. So it's like kind of like the mud, right, and the soot that gets kicked up.
Yeah, because there's so many fish in this lake, and they're basically putting a carpet of their scat on the bottom all over the place, and dead fish and whatnot.
How does this compare to other fishing spots you have? Is this like I think you got something? Yep, you did.
It's
I mean, do you prefer this lake? I mean, is it one you enjoy, or
I've been fishing it since 1976.
Okay.
It's not a really big one. But since 1976, when the fishing used to be extremely good.
yeah?
We throw him the way.
So the idea is to get them as close to the tule as you can,
That's correct.
without putting them in the tule. That's the trick.
That's the trick.
Shrimp are feeding on flies. Flies are feeding. Everyone looks like a baby.
Yeah, he's a keeper. We'll get fillets off him.
Keeper?
Yep.
There it is. Box open up. Got it. Very cool.
Fast.
Very fast.
You just got to want to catch them.
Steve,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the history of Buena Vista Lake. Of course, this is a man-made lake, and what was the year that they actually started working on this, or how did it come about?
They started working in the early 70s in conjunction with the county, the state water project, and with J.G. Boswell Farms, which is right here on the other side of the levee.
Right.
Mr. Boswell got the better part of the deal there.
He donated the land, right? Though.
I'm not sure if he donated or sold it to the county. I wouldn't have donated it to the county, you know. But he ended up with a really nice system that down here, what's called maples, down by those telephone poles, they pull the water out right there into his farm, the headwaters of his irrigation system.
He owns the top 2 feet, right?
And at any time he wants to, he can take the top 2 feet, down to a certain level that belongs to him. Now the lake is full right now. That means that tomorrow, if he starts irrigating his cotton, he can take the top 2 feet off, and it belongs to him.
Right.
That was part of the deal.
Right. Was it an instant success when this thing was built?
It was for me for fishing. It took them a couple of years to allow skiing and boating in here.
Right.
I think 1977 or 78 they started allowing limited boating, and then I think in 78 or 79 is when they first allowed skiing in here.
Right.
Maybe even as late as 1980. But during that time when they didn't allow skiing, I was renting boats over at the Osborne Concessions over here, and just massacring the fish out here. People had no idea how good the fishing was here.
Right.
They had giant fish, giant bass and catfish and crappie and bluegill, and the fishing is still fairly good out here.
Yeah.
But the catfish are pretty well taken over the lake because we're not getting the harvest that we should get to control them.
Okay.
There's just millions of them in here. What are you feeling?
Pretty heavy.
Yeah, pretty heavy.
Oh man, that's a big one.
That's like the biggest one of the day.
Yep.
Let me lift it in for you.
Daddy, I don't want to open that one.
Wow, that's a pretty good sized catfish right there.
Not really, but for here, yeah, you're getting that's a good
That's
keep.
about the biggest one.
Open the gate.